Hey, welcome back to Flem and Lem. That's Lem.
That's Flem.
And we are Flem and Lem. This is episode 3 of our podcast. Caleb, give us a rundown.
All right, today we're talking, is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer? We're going to debate. Then we got to recap NBA trade deadline, who's the best team in the East right now, and we have our first ever guest talk about National Signing Day. Let's go.
Let's go. Welcome back. We're going to start off by talking about a little bit of football. It's not over yet.
Nope.
First thing we got, we're still not over the Super Bowl. Still a crazy win by the Patriots. I mean, not a high-scoring game. Julian Edelman, MVP. So that brings the question. Is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer?
Absolutely not. He has no case to be a Hall of Famer.
He's a playoff hero.
Yeah, he's a playoff hero. Okay, I'm going to bring that argument up in a second. First of all, here's the stats. 0 Pro Bowls. 0 All-Pros. Steroid user. I'm not sure how super involved that is in NFL Hall of Fame. We're both big baseball fans, so obviously there's a lot going on.
Tom Brady deflated footballs.
Steroids. He was suspended this year.
Yeah,
only has two seasons of 1,000 yards. Only 2 seasons of 100 receptions. I would argue he's also never been the most dominant receiver. That includes Gronk, like pass catching ability on his team. Not even on his team. I know he plays for the New England Patriots, and I know they're all playoff stats, but if you look at his actual regular season numbers, he is no way a Hall of Famer. Okay? So let's break it down. Career playoff stats, 18 games, 115 receptions, over 1,400 yards. Those are both, I know there's 2 more games in a regular season, but those are both better than his career highs for regular season in both of those stats.
Okay.
He performs great in the playoffs, and that's the reason, well, one of the reasons the Patriots are so good in the playoffs, because he balls out. But to put him in the Hall of Fame, that's the single greatest achievement an individual can achieve in sports.
Well, we talk about Tom Brady being the GOAT, right? And because he makes his players better.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's number 2 in playoff receiving yards. And now he's number 2 in playoff receptions.
Mm-hmm.
Both behind Jerry Rice, who is the GOAT of wide receivers. But he's won an MVP of a Super Bowl. Gronk hasn't done that.
Okay.
He might not be the best pass catcher as far as ability. Maybe if Josh Gordon played for the Patriots, he wouldn't be the second best. But what does he mean to his team? He's helped win Super Bowls. He's been the MVP of a Super Bowl. I mean,
if we want to break out his playoff stats, he's 43rd all-time in playoff touchdowns. He only has 5. I mean, you give and take there.
I think Gronk's in like the top 5.
I'm not disputing that he is an all-time playoff great, but to put him in the Hall of Fame, let me throw out a name for you. Randall Cobb, okay, plays for the Green Bay Packers. Cobb has played 2 less years than Edelman, okay? Yeah. Only trails him by 29 receptions, and he beats him by almost 2,000 yards. He's a Pro Bowler, second-team All-Pro. I know he doesn't have the playoff stats, but all-time, like if you look at all their numbers, Randall Cobb is a better statistically game changer than Julian Edelman. And Randall Cobb's not making the Hall of Fame. He's not even making the Hall of really good.
Right. I mean, I can agree with that. I agree that like playoff statistics don't get you in the Hall of Fame. But I wouldn't be surprised if Julian Edelman goes down in the Boston Hall of Fame.
Boston Hall of Fame. Yeah, why not? Sure. Okay.
You think?
Why not? That means absolutely nothing.
It doesn't mean anything. Well, it is the greatest sports city, but it doesn't. But I think I do agree with you. Like in order to be a Hall of Famer, I think you have to dominate your position for at least some sort of period of time.
Yeah.
In your sport, like you have to. You have to be the best at some point to be in the Hall of Fame, and he's been the best maybe one game.
He's not even top 5 currently wide receivers in the game. Maybe not even top 10. Let me throw out another name for you. Cliff Branch. Okay? Yeah. Former Oakland Raider. He is a 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 4th all-time in playoff reception yards. So it's Jerry Rice, Julian Edelman, someone else, and Cliff Branch.
It's Michael Irvin.
Okay, Michael Irvin, thank you. And Cliff Branch. Cliff Branch's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Better statistically than Edelman in the regular season. Pretty close.
To just as good.
In the playoffs. Hines Ward, 7th all-time in playoff yards. One of the greatest Steeler wide receivers ever. He's not making the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Julian Edelman does not. I would be disappointed in the NFL if Julian Edelman is a Hall of Famer. No disrespect to you, but you're not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Don't look forward to seeing him in the Hall of Fame anytime soon. In other football news, though.
Yeah.
Almost just as interesting, depending on who you are. The AAF started last night, and it actually had better ratings than the Rockets-Thunder basketball game. Primetime basketball game. Thunder come back by like a 20-point deficit to win, and it doesn't even beat a bunch of NFL failures, to say the least.
Okay. Ooh.
I mean, Josh Johnson was the number 1 pick. He played some NFL games this year, but he was like the 4th option. And it's getting higher ratings than primetime MVP caliber basketball games. What do you think about that?
I'm stoked about the AAF. I'll tell you why. It's good for football, and it's good for the fans. It's bad for the NFL.
Think it's bad for the NFL?
I think it's bad for the NFL. It promotes violence, and I mean football violence, which I like as a fan. The NFL is trying to stay away from violence. Mm-hmm. There were plays last night that would have got players ejected and flags over the field that were totally fine, which I like as a fan, but it's bad for the NFL. You know the best part though? Steve Spurrier is back.
That's true.
He's back.
He ran the Philly special. Well, what we could come to know as Philly.
Yeah.
Don't know what you want to call it, Orlando, or something like that.
It's good for football because 6 of the 8 cities in the AAF don't have NFL teams. You got even Salt Lake, our hometown, have it, which is all. I'm going to go to a game.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for that. It's on CBS, TNT, NFL Network. This is football trying to make a comeback when football isn't around.
Football year-round. That's where we're close to seeing if it's a success. And it's hard not to get excited about that.
Yeah.
But moving on to the second greatest sport in America, well, maybe, basketball, at least ratings-wise. We are going to be talking about the trade deadline, a little bit of Anthony Davis again, and it's going to be fun. So stay tuned, and we'll be back.
Let's go. Welcome back to Flem and Lem Sports Podcast. We are going to transition into the NBA. Big news this week. It was the trade deadline, one of the most exciting times for transaction basketball. Let's recap a little bit of what happened.
Well, got some big trades.
Yeah.
We got some trades that didn't happen as well. Anthony Davis did not get traded. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's really a big surprise, but it didn't happen, so what are the Lakers going to be? We also had Tobias Harris going to the 76ers.
Huge.
Creating kind of a big 4.
Yeah.
A little bit. Marc Gasol going to the Raptors. And Nikola Mirotic going to the Bucks. Doesn't make a difference, but that's okay. What do you think? What do you think about your Bucks?
The Milwaukee Bucks are going to win the Eastern Conference. Period. They're going to the finals.
No.
Let me tell you why. Mirotic is a huge get for this team. Okay? He's right now he's averaging 16.5 a game and double threat, 8.2 rebounds a game right now. I know he's been banged up a little bit, but you put him with the Bucks roster who's already got the big and Giannis, Brook Lopez who can go down low or he can shoot the 3. You put him on All-Star Chris Middleton. Brook Lopez, have you seen him shoot threes?
Have you seen him play basketball?
First of all, statistically might not be the best player. Go watch him shoot threes. He's got crazy range. Back to Mirotic. He could come off the bench or he could be put in the starting lineup. And I know he's a power forward, so Giannis is kind of in there. But it gives him size. It gives him scoring ability that other guys don't have. Originally, I had put the Sixers were going to win the East. But here is why the Bucks are going to give it to you.
Okay.
Depth. They have depth. Their backup is George Hill, has finals experience. Rest in peace, Game 1 of last year's NBA Finals. Tony Snell, who's a quality number 2 at the small forward, and Ersan Ilyasova, who also has playoff experience, who can shoot. You throw Mirotic in there, combined with whoever gets the bench or from the starters right now, the Bucks are so deep. Let me give you some more stats. 23-5 at home this year. 23-5. They have not lost back-to-back games all season. So if you're telling me they get the number 1 seed in the East, they're set. They don't lose back-to-back games. They don't lose at home. If they've lost 5 home games all year, you're trying to tell me that someone has to beat them at least probably twice at home to beat them in a series? How?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you how. Okay, there's a couple things about the Bucks that right off the bat scare me.
What?
Number one, have what their playoff experience, where is it? How many playoff series have they won? Have they beat any good teams in the playoffs? That's number one. Number two, I've been saying it for years. Giannis Antetokounmpo is not. I don't think he's the player that can carry you in the playoffs.
Will you look at the camera and say that? Because I'm going to send this into freezing cold takes.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, he's not able to carry a team in the playoffs.
The Bucks are winning the East.
Here's what. The Raptors, number 1. 76ers, number 2. Celtics, number 3. And Bucks, number 4.
Is this your power rankings or predictions?
Now, maybe I'll put Bucks number 3, Celtics number 4.
Are this your power rankings or predictions for as the season?
This is my power rankings as it stands right now. That's who I think are the best. You have Kawhi. You want to talk about playoff experience, brother?
Okay.
Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
He beat LeBron James and Dwayne Wade.
Great player.
In the finals.
Great player. Look at their depth. They don't have depth.
I am looking at their depth. They got
the Bucks won
Fleet.
The Bucks won the season series against the Raptors.
When, this year?
Yes.
Okay, and?
They beat them. They won the season series against the Raptors.
The Jazz won the season
Sixers,
series against the Warriors last year.
With their starters rested.
How do you know the Raptors weren't resting Kawhi Leonard?
I watched the games.
He wasn't resting?
In the first game he was resting,
regular
but
season doesn't matter.
First game he was resting, but so was Giannis.
You just added Marc Gasol to the already probably the best team in the East, in my opinion. If you have a healthy Kawhi, a healthy Kyle Lowry,
I'm taking the Greek Freak over Kawhi. Right there.
Well, and this
taking
is
his jersey.
You're going to take Greek Freak over a robot? The machine? The claw?
Albert Pujols.
Man, I can't wait for the playoffs. I cannot wait for the playoffs.
It's going to be a Bucks, Sixers, Eastern Conference Finals.
What makes you think the Sixers are going to do anything?
Tobias Harris. They're starting 5.
They were a joke last playoffs.
Well, they won a series.
They were a joke, though.
They
lost to the Celtics with nobody.
Right.
I mean, the Celtics played well in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, played really well.
Like, they played out of their minds. But it was a Kyrie-less, Gordon Hayward-less
you can't count.
Celtics.
They were without Gordon Hayward the whole year. Period.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They didn't have him in the playoffs. Like, the
Raptors are going to get the 3 seed in the East. They're a good team. But these additions make Philly and Milwaukee better. And
I can see Philly.
Yeah.
I like Tobias.
I think the Sixers have the second best starting 5 in basketball, obviously behind Golden State.
The Rockets?
Starting 5.
The Rockets?
I think the Sixers...
With a healthy Clint Capella?
I'll take Joel over him.
But you have James Harden, Chris Paul, Eric Gordon, Clint Capella. Come on.
Let's look at it. Let's look at it right now. I got the depth chart pulled up right here. Ben Simmons at the point, JJ at the 2, Jimmy Butler at the 3, Harris at the 4, Joel at the 5. What's the Raptors?
What's the Raptors?
Yeah, what's the Raptors depth chart right now?
Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam.
Oh,
Kawhi
sorry,
Leonard.
Rockets. Excuse me.
Oh. Chris Paul, James Harden, Eric Gordon. Clint Capella's hurt.
Yeah.
Dude, let's look at it. I'm not sure.
I just think the Sixers are the better team right now than the Rockets. I just think starting 5, they're better.
Nene, come on.
Shut up. PJ Tucker, that's who we forgot.
PJ Tucker.
Uh-huh.
It says Iman Shumpert.
Yeah, it says him and Tucker and Kenneth Faried. Come on.
But Kenneth Faried, all right.
You got to give the Sixers that. Don't do them dirty. You know, we're going to put up a poll, okay?
Paul.
First of all, who has the better starting 5? The Rockets or the 76ers?
The Rockets almost they could have beat the Warriors.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Doesn't count in sports.
Chris Paul was hurt.
We're coming back. We're going to recap a little bit of Utah sports and see what we got going on this week. And then our last words. Let's go.
Let's go. And welcome back. We have our first ever guest, Jeff Galini. He's a huge A&M fan, and he's one of the founders of the BYU Souther Student Association. We're lucky to have you here today. We're here to talk about National Signing Day. What's your biggest takeaway?
I think one of my biggest takeaways is firstly that the rich get richer. I mean, the SEC had a historic performance. 4 of the top 5 teams in National Signing Day were from the SEC.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's interesting to note that Clemson, after winning the national championship, falls to 10. They have 1 5-star recruit. That's pretty unusual for a team to just win. Usually they get the bump from winning the national championship, but instead they get a bump down to 10. That's kind of what stood out to me. And not SEC, but a competitor in the national championship every year, and they fall to 10.
Yeah, that surprised me too, because they got obviously one of the best coaches in the nation, and then if not the best, and then young quarterback. They're ready to go for the next however many years, and they only get 1 like that. That really surprised me. Going back to the SEC, I looked it up. 20 of the 34 5-star recruits went to the SEC. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That one conference gets all those guys, and that's only 5-star. I'm sure they got a ton of 4-star recruits. My biggest takeaway was Oklahoma. They've been in, obviously, in the playoff the past 2 years, and they're ready to go. They want to take the SEC down. They finished 6th overall in their recruiting class. There were 6 5-star wide receivers and quarterbacks. Oklahoma got half of them, so they're ready to gun. They got one of their top quarterbacks. Obviously, Jalen Hurts just went there, so there's could be a battle. I see Jalen Hurts starting. But then out of their 13 4-star recruits, 8 of those are on defense, which is, in my opinion, that's their, if you want to compare it to the NFL, that's their free agency. Like, they are going after. They need to boost up on defense. They know that, and they're ready to go. They're going to try to take it.
Right. And Jeff, you're a big A&M fan. Jimbo Fisher starting to make his imprint in A&M. How do you feel personally about the A&M recruiting class?
I'm wearing a shirt that says it ain't going to be like it used to be. This has been one of the best recruiting classes in A&M history. And whenever he came here after his first National Signing Day, he went and he got up there, and I just love that. What he said, said that this is the last time that we will not be signing a top 5 class while I'm here. Wow. And he's lived up to it. I mean, we're ranked number 4 in 24/7 Sports. We're ranked number 3 in the composite, number 3 in ESPN, and number 3 in Rivals for class rankings. So, I mean, I couldn't be more excited about all the athletes that he's been taking in.
Where do you see Texas A&M in the stack of the SEC moving forward? Can they compete with Alabama?
Not next year. Next year, our schedule is just absolutely brutal. We have Clemson at Clemson. We have LSU at LSU, Alabama at home, Georgia at Georgia, Auburn at home. It's just too brutal. I don't think we'll be able to compete next year. 2020, after we have a couple of years with Jimbo Fisher implementing his system, I think that's going to be the year that we can really start to compete nationally.
Yeah.
Do you see it staying top 5 recruiting class if they aren't challenging Bama, so to speak, next year?
Yes. Because you're in the state of Texas, which produces so much talent that he can easily get a top 10 to top 7 class if he just dominates Texas. And if you can win 10 games, 9 games in the SEC, then you're going to be ranked in the top 15. So I don't know if beating Bama will be the benchmark to win nationally. I mean, look at LSU. They have a top 10 recruiting class, and they haven't scored a point against Bama in years.
That's right. Speaking of Texas,
is Texas back? So they finished on 24/7, which is the one we're going, where they finished 3rd in their overall recruiting class. They got 2 5-star recruits. One of them might have to sit if he doesn't get a transfer waiver. I know Jeff was mentioning A&M finished 3rd in a lot of the polls, 4th in some of the others, and it's because of where's he at?
It's Brew McCoy,
because he might have to sit a year for transfer if he can't get a transfer waiver. That's going to be something to watch. Texas could be back. I think people are buying into the Longhorns right now. College football is better if Texas is good.
I agree. I mean, they were competing with Oklahoma last year.
Mhm.
And Oklahoma obviously had the great team, Kyler Murray, Heisman Trophy winner. Switching gears a little bit to where we live, BYU. 79th ranked recruiting class. Not necessarily a barn burner, but it is actually the worst recruiting class that BYU has had at least since 2000. Kalani Sitake was supposed to be the recruiting king. What's going on at BYU?
Well, they got Jacob Conover, so that is their prized possession. Quarterback at Arizona. He's a mission first guy, so we won't see him for a couple of years.
Yeah.
That's honestly probably good. Zach Wilson's going to go take his reign, hopefully, and then Jacob can come in 2 years after he gets home. I actually think he reports to the MTC in 3 days, so pretty much 2 years from today.
Yeah.
We're going to see him. Overall, though, I was disappointed in BYU's recruiting. I think both Utah and Utah State finished higher.
Yeah.
They're going to be struggling again for the top football program in the state.
Jeff, you got anything about BYU? I know you're SEC man, but
I think what's been very interesting about watching BYU recruiting is, one, they were really, really going hard to try and get a running back in the class, and they weren't able to do that.
yeah,
I mean, after losing Squally Canada, that was a huge loss for BYU's football program, and they don't have anyone to replace that at all. After they whiffed on the running back that committed to Louisville, they just weren't able to rebound and get anyone at all, which is really disappointing. And then they also went and just took a lot of preferred walk-ons.
Yeah. I saw that BYU had like an athlete that they said could play running back. But yeah, like you said, there's no running back, no one to fill Squally's place. We still have Zach Atoa. Like he's probably gonna be the number one, but where's the depth after that? If he gets injured, where are we gonna be?
I actually like Lupini Katoa, Zach Katoa, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
As a number one, I thought he performed better than Squally last year, but the thing is, he got hurt multiple times. And I mean, last year, you had to. I love Matt Hadley. Like he actually played pretty good, but Matt Hadley played running back. Like that's like what his third position changed the past few years. Yeah. So you had to go that deep to find a back to produce for you. All they have is Katoa. Tyler Algier right now is their backup, who is unproven. We have no idea what he's going to do. That was my biggest takeaway from BYU. They didn't get a running back. They needed a running back.
Yeah. So SEC dominates National Signing Day. BYU falters to 79. That's pretty much what we got. Thank you, Jeff, for coming on to the show. We appreciate your insights for the SEC and Texas A&M. And if you stay with us, we'll be back with March Madness coverage, and we'll hope to see you then. Welcome back. We have our Utah sports recap coming up and Flem and Lem's last words. So start with Utah sports recap.
That's easy peasy. The Jazz did not make a trade. They're going to need to find something because the West is loaded. But that's about it for the Utah Jazz. They didn't make a trade.
Didn't make a trade. BYU basketball, second in WCC standings. But, I mean, it's really Gonzaga than the field at this point. And BYU men's volleyball has lost like 4 in a row.
Got swept a lot of the times, too.
Swept. Not doing very well.
It's surprising. It's a nationally dominant team. They were really good to start with, and they've just kind of fallen off. Hope they can get back to it.
Yeah, so that's a little bit surprising. But moving on, last words. Lynn, give us your last words.
I'm going to start with our last words today. The Philadelphia Phillies acquired catcher JT Realmuto in a trade with the Marlins, giving up their top prospect, Sixto Sanchez. My buddy over here, Flem, is a big Braves fan, and so that kind of hurts his division chances. I love the trade as a baseball fan. The Phillies are good. They've got 4 former All-Stars in free agency or trades alone this season. The NL East is going to be stacked. You've pretty much got everyone but the Marlins looking to win the division. Not even a wild card team. It's going to be good. I'm excited for baseball.
Yeah, we're not scared though. Bring it on. My last words. Selection committee gave us a top 16 team, or like the Sweet 16, top 16 teams for March Madness. Number 1 seeds so far are Duke, Gonzaga, Tennessee, and Virginia. And the number 2 seeds are Michigan, Michigan State, North Carolina, and Kentucky. As a huge college basketball fan, I'm looking forward to it. Tennessee and North Carolina are in the same region, the South. That'd be big.
What I love about college basketball this year, just not to steal your spotlight, but Duke is really good, but I mean, Gonzaga beat them, then like they're beatable.
Yeah.
There's not a dominant team. There are tons of amazing things. This is gonna be a great March. This is gonna be a great March.
Right. We'll see what Zion can do. And shout out to Rick Barnes, Hickory man, for leading Tennessee #1 in the nation still. But that's it for our podcast today. Thank you for joining us. Episode 3 is now over. Join us next week for episode 4.
Let's go.